Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little dive into r/am I the porthole. So if you would like to judge some big old gaping portholes with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please, thank you. And a little disclaimer, of course, any opinions that I give on the posts that we read are my opinion, and just that, not to be taken as facts. You don't need to take them seriously. If you have a different opinion, that is great. Please do feel free to share it. Just make sure you keep it kind and respectful in the comments. No need to be mean to anyone that you do not agree with. And with that being said, let's go. And by the way, I am so tired today, so tired. So one, it's going to be fun editing this. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, I feel. And two, if I leave mistakes in, or if I'm just sounding like I'm rambling and talking out my porthole myself, then leave me alone, all right? I'm tired. Anyway, so this first post was posted by Smelly Cheese Chicken. Would I be a porthole if I put a post in my yard that could damage my neighbour's truck? My husband, 29M, and I, 28F, have lived in our home for over 6 years now. Our house is over 100 years old, and we've been slowly making improvements when we can. When we got married, my father-in-law gifted us landscaping for our front yard. We planned out what we wanted, talked to a landscaper, and he wanted to pay for it as a wedding present. The landscaping was completed over 3 years ago, and we were very pleased and appreciative for such a great gift. The landscaping included a much-needed retaining wall where there was a low patch in our front yard that previously turned into a mud pit when it rained. Fast forward to last year and our neighbour sold their house to a new owner. Almost immediately after she moved in, she made it clear that she was going to be unpleasant to live next to. Oh, goody! Love that! Not! In the first week or so of living there, she came into our backyard and chopped the top off one of our juniper bushes and threw it into our yard. Oh my goodness. The bushes were next to her garage, but clearly in our yard. It's an old neighbourhood, and a lot of the garages were built long after the homes, so everything behind those houses is very close together. Her garage is very close to the property line, and maybe even a little bit on our property. We would have understood if she didn't like the bushes. They were looking scraggly, and landscaping for our backyard was next on our list for improvements. However, she gave no explanation, and she hadn't even introduced herself to us. I knew she did it because I could see her from my dining room window. See, you are a better person than me, because I'd have been out there like, what do you think you're doing? Get your hands off my bushes. We ended up clearing all 3 of the bushes out by her garage because they were unattractive, especially after having the top lopped off of one. I think I would have left them there even if they were unattractive, just to be petty. About a week later, she ran over our retaining wall with her lifted truck. It damaged the wall, but her truck is so tall it did no damage to her vehicle. Again, she never talked to us about it or apologised, but I had seen her do it because I'm home all day. That summer, we had our same landscaping company do our backyard, so we asked them to add on a repair for the front yard retaining wall. The repair cost $100, and we paid it because we didn't want a confrontation with our neighbour. 1 week after the wall was repaired, she hit it again. Still, we had no apology from her. We're outside a lot, so we thought eventually she would approach us about it, so we gave her time. I mean, she cut off your bushes and said nothing. She knocked over your wall the first time and said nothing. Come on, OP, grow a spine, my love, Jesus. One day I saw her walking her dog and came outside to discuss it. I just opened by saying that I wanted to talk to her about our retaining wall, and she responded back saying that she didn't know how the wall was damaged. When I said I'd seen her run it over with her truck many times, she started making excuses. She said the wall is too close to her driveway and that it could have been a delivery driver or any random person who used her driveway. I stayed firm. Initially I was going to ask her to pay for the repair, but I decided that since she didn't even apologise, I would ask her to reimburse us for the initial repair as well as the upcoming repair. She agreed but said it wasn't a big deal and she couldn't make any promises she wouldn't hit it again. Literally, I'd be saying to her, mate, if you hit it again, I'm going to assume you don't want your tyres, so don't blame me when they go missing. The wall was repaired again yesterday, and this is the part that my husband says I would be the butthole for. I put an ornamental iron post at the edge of our wall, but completely on our side of the property. Oh no, what if she hits it? That would be such a shame. That way it would be easier to see where the wall is, but if she hit the wall again, she would also hit the post, and it would probably damage her truck. My husband told me to take the post down. Tell your husband to shh. Be quiet. He said I was being vindictive and immature. I took it down immediately after I put it up, but I really want to prevent further damage to our property. I don't want her to hit the wall again, but if she did hit it and our wall wasn't the only thing being damaged, I think she would be less likely to do it again. So, would I be the a-hole if I put the post back? OP, if you do not put that post back right now! As long as it's on your property, she would have no legal standing, I am sure. So, because she would have to prove that you put it there purposefully to damage her truck, which means she would have to admit that she was backing into your wall all the time, which would then hold her liable for damages. So no, put it back. Tell the husband. So, down in the comments, Weed is for the Rich says, put the post back up. Edit, not the bolt hole, you were just protecting your property and teaching someone who is clearly a bit of a bumhole how to respect other people's stuff. Curious Alice says, get a bigger post. Exactly. We're on the same page, you and I, Miss Alice. Okay, next post posted by NaturalBat7423. Am I the butthole for telling my dad's pregnant girlfriend that he already has 3 kids I have nothing to do with, and her baby will be no different? I, 17M, grew up with my mum. I only ever saw my dad 1 day a month, and that has not changed after all this time. My mum and I tried to end that visitation, but the judge said since Dad never skipped a day, it made sense to continue until my 18th birthday, which is in October. My dad has dated a few women over the years and has 3 other kids out there. My mum was offered the chance for me to know them, but I wasn't interested, so Mum said no thanks for me, and that was it. Those kids are raised by different guys their mums are married to, so Dad pays no child support or anything for them, and he owes Mum a ton of money too, but she won't tell me the exact amount until I'm 18. My dad has a new girlfriend now and she's pregnant. Your dad needs a vasectomy, Jesus. He is spreading it around like God knows what and then just up and leaving. Like, let's not sit here and pretend that he's being a good dad. He's not paying child support and he's doing 1 day a month. Whoopie fucking do. Oh my life. She only knew about me, and every time I was at his house, she could not understand my lack of interest in her pregnancy and her baby. She invited me baby shopping with her a few times, and she asked if I wanted to go to see a special scan of the baby, and it genuinely shocked her that I didn't accept the offer for any of it. Last week, she asked why I'm not gearing up to be a big brother, and she said she assumed that I would have been happy to have a sibling after all this time. I told her this isn't the first kid my dad had with someone else, and I have nothing to do with those kids, and it won't be any different with her baby. I told her I consider myself an only child, and that is not changing because he knocks up women at random. Oh my god. Imagine. Like, to be fair, it does sound like the dad's girlfriend. She sounds nice enough, trying to get the OP involved and whatnot, but I completely understand why the OP wants none of it, because dad clearly does this a lot. And it sounds like he's just got dad into trouble, because it doesn't sound like the girlfriend knew a damn thing about these kids. She got very upset and wanted to believe I was lying, but I convinced her. Then she asked why I care so little because I could have lifelong relationships with them all. She said it was so sad and she started to cry, and she said she wanted so much better for her baby. I told her she picked the wrong guy to have that with. She locked herself in the room the rest of the time I was there, and before I went home, my dad tried to get me to apologise, but I said no. His girlfriend texted me a few days ago and said she wanted an apology and to hear I would actually try to be a good brother to her child. But I know the next time I go over there, if they're still together, I will be dealing with it again. Am I the butthole? That says it all, doesn't it, really? The way that the OP has just said. I know that the next time I go over there, if they're still together, that's how much OP is used to their dad putting it about, having new girlfriends here, there and everywhere, and getting them pregnant. So it's no wonder the OP wants nothing to do with it. The girlfriend should be looking to the dad as the problem. Down in the comments, Perspective Cookie 16 says, she asks why I care so little because I could have lifelong relationships with them all. So could their biological father, but he clearly thinks that's optional. Also, expecting a 17-year-old boy to get excited about a pregnancy? Has she ever met a teenage boy? Yeah, that's the other thing as well, isn't it? Like, most teenagers are very sort of stoic with their emotions and stuff anyway. You know, I know that's not the catch-all for all teenagers, by the way. I'm just saying a lot of them are when it comes to things like that. They don't like to let on when things are exciting or whatever, because, you know, I don't know, it's not cool. God, I sound old, but you know, it's true. And yeah, just expecting them to be like, oh my God, yeah, let's go baby shopping. I don't really think I know a 17-year-old boy that would get excited about going baby shopping, unless it was like with their mum who they're really comfortable with, but definitely not some random new woman that their dad's got pregnant, you know? Anyway. So then Retro Spun says, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what teenage boy would be interested in going to their dad's girlfriend's ultrasound? And an ultrasound, when you go for them, it does feel very sort of intimate, as much as it's not. You know, it's just a bit of jelly on your belly and then off they pop. They're looking for the baby then. But it does feel kind of intimate at the same time. So I imagine that would feel very awkward for the poor lad, you know? Anyway, moving on. So, next post posted by CrazyAd3873. Am I the butthole for telling my dad he raised a criminal after he insulted my kids? My goodness. I36F grew up with my brother as the golden child. Ugh. God, I hate these stories, I really do, because they always just go one way and it usually ends in us thinking, why do they like the golden child so much? They sound insufferable. Anyway, we were both extremely intelligent and there was always this unspoken competition between us. The thing is, even though I often had more achievements, it was clear my dad had a soft spot for him. It was very clear my dad had a soft spot for him. My brother ended up using his intelligence in a very different way. He got involved in serious crime and became the brains behind it. Even manufacturing weapons for criminals. My goodness, OP. I would have never guessed that that was where this was going. My goodness. Eventually, someone turned him in to save themselves, and my brother was arrested. My dad was devastated. He fell into a deep depression, and oddly enough, that's when he started getting closer to me. Meanwhile, I went to college, built a successful career that I'd rather not specify for privacy, married my high school boyfriend, and now we have 4 kids. I'm just going to give a trigger warning now for mentions of self-harm and suicide in this one going forward, so just be aware of that. If that is something that you cannot deal with, then feel free to dip out now. My husband and I made a very intentional decision about how to raise our kids. no prejudice, and no strict gender roles. This comes from personal experiences. My husband lost an uncle who was gay and took his own life because of it. Aw, that's really sad. And we also lost a trans friend who did the same after feeling rejected by their parents. That is so sad. Like, I just never understand how a parent could turn around and be like, oh, you're gay, you're trans, whatever, get out and I never want to speak to you again. Awful. Absolutely awful. And I'm judging harshly for any parents that do that. I don't even care. That left a huge impact on us, and we want our children to grow up knowing that they will be loved no matter what. Here's where things went wrong. My oldest kids, 10 and 12, spent a weekend at my parents' house. When I went to pick them up, they looked quite upset and like they had been crying. I asked my mum what happened, and she got visibly nervous. Then my dad came in already yelling. He said he had to do mine and my husband's job. My husband stepped in and asked what he meant. My dad said he saw our kids playing together, both with toy cars and dolls, and that this would confuse them. Oh my God. He said things should be separated and that he gave them a proper scolding and punished them. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, them's fighting words. Oh my goodness. Leave those kids alone. Let them play with whatever. At that point, my husband immediately took our kids to the car. I stayed and argued with my dad. It escalated quickly, and then he said, "It's not my fault you're raising gay kids." That's when I snapped and said, "And you raised a criminal." Love it, love it. I went further and told him that if he thinks kids turn a certain way just because of how they're raised, then by his logic, my brother being a criminal would also be his fault. Yes, turn his stupid logic back on him. That's amazing. Bravo, OP. Bravo. He went completely silent after that. My mum later told me that I went too far and crossed a line. Ah, yes, but your husband's homophobic rant was not too far, of course. Get a grip, lady. I left and haven't really processed anything yet. I feel like I also brought up my brother because in some way I still resent him. What's making this harder is that almost my entire family is against me right now. They think I was cruel and disrespectful. Like, are you in a family of just hypocrites? Like, what the hell? On the other hand, my husband's family, who are still grieving his uncle, are completely on our side. His grandmother, his uncle's mother, even called me crying, saying she was proud of us for doing what she feels she couldn't do. She told me the feeling of helplessness after losing someone just for who they are is unbearable, and that she wishes she had been stronger back then. So now I'm stuck between being told I went too far and being told I did the right thing by defending my kids. Am I the butthole? Are you the butthole for pointing out the hypocrisy in his statement? No, absolutely not. Like, I'm sorry, but he is harassing your kids over being gay because they were playing with, like, cars and dolls. Could they turn out gay? Maybe. Could they turn out straight? Maybe. You know, as long as they don't turn out like the granddad, I think they'll be doing just fine. So, down in the comments, Senator Bink says, "My mum later told me I went too far and crossed a line." Oh, now mum suddenly finds her voice. Where was that when her husband was punishing the grandkids for playing with toys and yelling his head off about them being gay? Not the butthole. Mum raised a criminal too. I wouldn't let the kids spend unsupervised time with your parents anymore. And then a ferocious pineapple says, "Well, your answer is in the question." Seems like mum was in agreement with the treatment from OP's dad. Yeah, exactly. And I think we've got time for just one more. So this one was posted by Kden00123. Am I the butthole for moving out of my parents' house where I was paying rent and without any notice when I was told to give up my room? Again, no. Easiest no ever. If you're paying rent, you get to have a room. Like, that's just how it should work. Anyway. I mean, if you're living with your parents anyway, you should get to have a room. Like, that's crazy. Anyway. Let's get on with it. I, 18M, have 3 younger brothers, 16M, 13M, and 12M. Our parents were always a little harder on me than them, and I know that can be normal sometimes. But something that always drove me crazy is when they were hosting people from my dad's family. I would be the only one asked to give up my room to keep them. People from my dad's family stayed over a lot too, so there were a lot of times I had to sleep on the couch for them. Sometimes I didn't even get much notice. My brothers never had to give up their rooms. In fact, if there were more than usual, my parents would add blow up beds to my room for them, and the guest room would get a mattress or two depending on the situation. It always bothered me, and I spoke to my parents about it several times. I thought we had a breakthrough last year when they told me that they had not wanted me to feel that way and they would do better. After I turned 18 and started working full time, I started paying rent. One of the agreements we came to was there was no more making me give up my room. I told them that since I was paying for that room now, the least they could do was respect that. This was never formally implemented, and it was all just very between family, but what happened? A bunch of family visited a month ago, and my parents told me to give up my room for them to have space. When I tried to stand my ground and also talk to them about it, they told me it was their decision and their house. Instead of just accepting it, I called my grandparents on my mum's side and asked if they had a room for me and were they okay with me moving in. They said yes immediately, and they came over to pack me up and move me in. My parents thought it was a joke until they saw all my stuff being brought out to my grandparents' car. My parents told me I couldn't just leave, and I was paying rent, so I needed to give them real notice. I told them if I was kicked out of the space I was renting, then I was just going to leave. Ever since, my parents have been telling me to move back in, and they said it was childish to move out in such an overdramatic way. They told me I left family members who were visiting feeling awkward and like they were intruding, because they are. Am I the butthole? No, absolutely not. If you were renting a flat and your landlord kicked you out and told you to sleep in the lobby every now and then, because he wanted to have his family stay there, you would move out. You would be like, you can piss right off, I'm going to go find a better place to rent. And it's the same thing. If you are paying your parents rent, you are essentially renting that room. So they should not be just kicking you out of that room. And then if you say, well, this isn't good enough, I'm not going to live here anymore, they need to just suck it up and take it. You're 18 now. You can move out if you want to. So no, definitely not the butthole, and it's teaching them a flipping lesson, I feel. So down in the comments, Hawkwood Games says not the butthole. They can't have it both ways. Either it's their house and their decision, in which case you're free to decide you don't want to live there anymore, or you're paying rent for that room and they respect that space. Expecting you to pay rent then still kick you out of your own room whenever guests arrive is ridiculous. Moving out wasn't childish. It was the natural consequences of them ignoring the one boundary you asked for. Exactly. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Governor Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Don't forget to leave an offering of a comment for Big Al now, will you? Bye!